Commission meeting to order, approximately 10:05 on the 8th of December. Roll call.
Commissioner members Brown.
Present.
Fuller.
Present.
Capel.
Present.
Greer.
Present.
Harris.
Present.
Vice Chairman Smith.
Present.
Chairman Vieira.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Commissioner Harris, would you please lead us in the flag salute? Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and get straight into our presentations. Weed and Seed Update, Janie Hodge. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Very good. I'm very pleased and honored to be here. Thank you for allowing me to come and do an update. We have a presentation that will show our latest graduation. We will be starting our next class in January. It's starting to become an overwhelming success. We have parole agents that have come to the facility to see what we're doing, and they're starting to refer. We were in the newspaper about 3 weeks ago with one of the transitions from this workshop to a green job. So I'm going to show you two presentations. One is the graduation, and the other is the green jobs, which will follow once you complete that training from parole. You will transition into the green jobs training, and hopefully we can find some jobs through this green jobs. This graduation actually had 25 people that graduated. They didn't all show up for the graduation. We had the graduation at Tarzana Treatment Center, which was different than what we had done before, so there was a little miscommunication, but the graduation actually does show about 13 people that got their diplomas and certificates that day. I don't know if you remember that at graduation there are certificates given from the Hollywood Suit Outlet that allow them to go get suits, and this year we were also able to have haircuts and shaves and things like that for them as well.
So never give up on your dreams. Consistently move forward and you won't fall backwards. Sometimes you can't move forward. Sometimes all you can do is stand still. Okay? That became awesome to me this past year because I wanted to continue to grow and grow, but I found that I was at a point that there was really nothing I could do but just stand in where I was. And that became something that really means something to me now. So as you grow older, you'll start to hear all those things your parents said to you and your grandparents, and they'll start to make more sense. I said, something has to be done. There has to be something that they're not getting when they're coming out on parole. And what I found is they come out to nothing. You come out to nothing. You come out to your families, but you come out to nothing other than that. And you needed something to step, a stepping stone, if you will. And so Ms. Janie and I talked about this program, and my directors here gave me the go-ahead to be able to do that because this is actually outside of what I do here at Tarzana. And so I am just so excited that we've been able to watch people grow because this is a volunteer program. Families, I need you to understand that they volunteered to do this. This is not something that somebody put, their arm around their neck, or they were might get violated if they do it. They were asked, do you want to participate? They said yes, and consistently every Wednesday.
I was fortunate that I had a sister that was looking out for me, and I was fortunate that she knew these ladies that would help me. I've been out a little over almost 5 months, and I have a car. I have a job, I go to school full time, and I have a place to live. Nice 5-bedroom house too.
All right. And it doesn't stop here. Once they get through here, then they continue on with Paving the Way Foundation and Weed and Seed program to continue to do, because we're not stopping till they get a job. That's the primary purpose for this whole program, is that they get employed. And or go to school, whichever one it is first. So again, give yourselves a round of applause.
Welcome and congratulations to the graduates. And what's that saying? Mine is a terrible thing waste. Yeah. There's also another saying that goes, the longest journey begins with one step. This is that step, okay? But then again, you're going to face obstacles. biggest obstacle you're going to face? It's right there. Okay? Remember that. This is the biggest obstacle that you have to face. How you look at yourself. How do you feel about yourself? What do you want people to think about you? All right? It all starts right here.
And so that's a part of change, you know, and as Jamie said earlier, you know, and I truly believe that I come from a school of thought that says this here, when there is no struggle, there is no progress. You know, and for those of you who are sitting in this room, you know what the struggle is like. And I truly honestly believe that, you know, if you don't change, nothing will change.
I want, yeah, it's like a scratch your hand. Yes. Every time I call and I got a problem,
He just doesn't have his jacket on. That's one of the suits.
so don't lose their number.
I say to you, good luck in your new ventures, good luck in your new lives, welcome back to Mayfield Society. And I want you to know, not only are these ladies there for you, but I'm also opened up my doors to you to Tarzan Treatment Center. It's here to help you if you ever run into a major hurdle and you need to sit down and talk to somebody about stuff that usually ends up there. Well, you know.
And with that, too, the graduates are getting a certificate of accomplishment, and with that, they're getting their vouchers to get their suits. They get a whole suit with shirts, socks. What else y'all get? Shoes, belt, the whole stuff. They get hooked up.
From that graduation, Max, who is representing the EDD, also represents Antelope Valley College, and we have been offered the opportunity for our graduates to have a job fair when they graduate. So they're going to put on a job fair. They want us this time to ask our participants what types of fields they would like to go in, and their goal is to go out and solicit those businesses and have a job fair at the AVC College that will offer them the opportunity to actually get employed. So I'm really excited about the way this is taking off and the way the community is becoming embraced in the concept of being able to help us give jobs back to our community. This next one that you're going to see is actually two of the participants in our graduating classes actually went through this training. We have one contractor that has offered us 2 positions to hire our participants to do the green jobs. We're hoping that we will have more opportunity to give these participants in this training actual jobs. The gentleman who actually did the training is Bland Construction. He does solar and heating in Bakersfield, and he has told them that he will come here and do marketing and then transition them into jobs at that point as helpers and get that experience. So this presentation is about the green jobs, which would be a transition from the training to the green jobs to hopefully employment.
On November 9, 2010, Paving the Way Foundation celebrated the very first Green Jobs training in the Antelope Valley. Together with High Desert Region Green Jobs Initiative, Bland Solar, and Eco Hut Academy, they have prepared the next generation of the green workforce. Industry-leading experts, course instructors Glenn Bland and Brandon Bice of Bland Solar and Air Inc. train and mentor hundreds of solar contractors and installers across the country each year.
A lot of these gentlemen that you see behind me here will be going to work for contractors that have implemented solar into their businesses.
Course description includes hands-on experience installing solar panels, learning safe installation practices, and the groundwork for establishing your own solar dealership. For more information, go to pavingthewayfd.com or call 661-339-2733.
The exciting thing about that is that when they finish that course, they actually understand the concept. He takes them from the classroom version. They spend 2 full days out in building an actual solar system, going through troubleshooting, and then actually tearing that solar system down. The trainer works with them on the first day. The second day, they break into groups, and they're actually developing those systems, doing the troubleshooting and tearing it down. So at the end, they are certificated. They are trained so that the learning that they get will qualify them to take the national exam, which will allow them to be able to work anywhere in the United States that they are green trained. I was very excited about bringing this opportunity. I was more excited when 2 of our parole guys were able to complete that session. Their parole agents came. They have raved the process, and now we're starting to get more people involved. My issue now is that I'm looking for funding to help them to supplement what it costs to do this training. I don't want to give them the training for free because I think there has to be a give and take. You have to give something so that you're accountable and responsible for it as well, but I would like to help them to supplement. So at this point, I'm looking for actual people in the community. We've commissioned the churches and businesses in our community to help maybe partially sponsor some of the guys coming home, or maybe donate $5-10 till we can actually supplement some of their ability to pay for this. Because when they come home, they usually don't have family that supports them. There's that break in communication. But they have really put forth a great effort to be a part of this. We've got a waiting list, the whole thing, and I'm really excited about it. And I thank you guys for letting me give this presentation. And I guess I'm supposed to ask, do you have questions now?
Thank you for the presentation. One question I have, is there a cohort or another class that's coming in since this one's been completed?
We're doing it once a month at this time. We didn't get a full class that was able to support this class that was supposed to start Monday, so we've moved it to the 13th. We're halfway there. Hopefully by the end of this week we'll be able to do that one. If we miss that one, we're shooting for the first Monday in January, and for 2011 is the first Monday of each month. And if we get an overwhelming response that is able to make it more often, we'll be able to do that as well.
How long does that sequence of that program go for?
It's a 40-hour, which they do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. where they do in-classroom study. They talk about ohms and kilowatts and all those other things. And then Saturday and Sunday are full working days, which they are trained with the trainer on Saturday to build it, troubleshoot, take it down. Sunday, they build, troubleshoot, take it down. We do lunch and that kind of thing. Monday, they come back and they do the overview. And then Tuesday, they come and they talk about exactly what they've learned. They talk about the test and what's involved in that. They can only take it twice a year. So the next one coming up is February, and I think the second one will be in July of next year. And then they're off on their own to do some job searches, while I also am doing some job searches to try to help to make that happen.
Very good.
What is the cost of the training?
The cost of the training is $2,400. That pays for this beautiful trailer that you saw. He actually brings this trailer from Bakersfield and puts it in the facility. They have all of the gadgets, what do you call them? I don't know, the electro boxes and all of that. So when they hook it up, it's actually as though they put it on a roof, or like the ones at the schools that I see going up now. It's actually that same scenario that's in the office. And so they come and they do that whole thing. They bring their manuals and books that they use to study from. They bring calculators, all of those things. They have a trainer that does the in-classroom training, and then they have 2 trainers that do the class outside when they do the building and the tearing down. What we're trying to do is try to find for our parole population a level of maybe paving the way, can supplement or do a scholarship kind of thing for those guys, so that maybe we can tweak that $24.95 to be a little more affordable. We're opening it to contractors and anybody that wants to be trained in solar as well. So that's where the $24.95 comes from, but we're hoping to do a scholarship kind of thing for those that are less fortunate and cannot really afford that.
And this is open to everybody, not just parolees, right?
The training is open to everybody. Yes, the training is definitely open for anyone. This training is for solar, to be certified in solar. So if you're a contractor, if you're wanting to just do solar, anybody is able to come in. In fact, in February, I believe we're supposed to do a presentation at a contractor's meeting of some sort that I'm not real sure exactly what it looks like right now, but they're supposed to be contractors, so it will be open to everyone.
Are you still involved with getting more grants, and if you are, will that help in?
Yes, most definitely. We have are writing several grants in an effort to help support this project, not only with the parole but with also the youth. We're doing a CalEMA grant for the Youth Build program that is the 17 to 24, which will also be trained in this solar to give them that extra boost and to set them out on the right path. And that grant we're submitting, I think, in the next 2 weeks. We're working on it as we speak. And those kinds of things are what we're doing in an effort to hopefully support not only our youth, but our reentry from parole and prison as well.
How many jobs are estimated for the green jobs?
There are various numbers. We are working with the WIA program, and the WIA program is kind of designed around there has to be jobs in order to do the training. So from my perception and what I see is that the jobs will specifically start to roll around more fluent as the 2011-2012 year comes. Right now I have one contractor that has offered me 2 positions for our parole population and our first graduating class of 12. I'm hoping that as we grow along, I'm in an incubator process with the Solar City has a program, and we're supposedly in an incubator process that as they go along, we should be able to maybe find some spaces there. And I'm trying to contact anyone that's doing solar to see if we can connect and try to get some of our people employed at those facilities.
Okay. How are we doing with all the other types of jobs out there? Are we getting any placements?
You know, we had, the Dollar Tree has done a couple more hirings, and we have some other positions that are supposedly coming to Futation, but not at this time. We haven't done any. In fact, it's kind of slowed down since it's the holiday season, but we're still out there pounding the pavement, and we're developing, as we speak, a group that will go out into the community and offer our people jobs and ask what kind of positions they have available. And I'm personally trying to get involved with the staffing agencies to see how we can work through them. But a lot of them have stipulations as far as background and those kinds of things. So there's some obstacles that we have to go around, but we're working diligently toward it.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just had one question. You said that currently the next program is about half committed.
Yes.
You need about another 50% of the students.
Yes,
What
we
is
have
that,
to at least
25?
have to have 15. That's the lower number. So we have 7 and a possible 8 that just called before I left. So by the end of the week, hopefully we can pull up the next 7 and get them approved so that we can have the class on the 13th.
And if not, then the
If not,
date's
it'll
just
move to
delayed.
the second Monday in January.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
that.
much for allowing me to be here.
Public business from the floor, agendized items. Do we have any? No? Okay. We'll move on to the consent calendar. Approval of the minutes. Commissioners, have you had a chance to review minutes? Any questions or areas there? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the minutes from the November 10th Criminal Justice Commission meeting.
Second.
Let's go ahead and take the vote. Oh, okay. And it's approved unanimously. Thank you. Commission staff presentations, updates, reports, monthly crime stats. Mr. Cobalt?
Thank you, Chairman. This will cover the time period from November 7th to November 27th because of the way the commission meeting fell, actually with only 1 week into December by the time we hit the second Wednesday. We're only looking at a measurement period of 3 weeks as opposed to 4. The weeks involved are weeks 46, 47, and 48, and they're pretty consistent across the board. The range is from 66 to 62 Part 1 crimes. So there's not really a lot going on there. We did not get a complete data set because of the holiday for Thanksgiving for the arrests. So rather than put up numbers that were insufficient, we didn't calculate those for this report. As we move on to reporting districts, we can see that there were 6 in the top 5, 2 of which tied. 1132 and 1135 took first place with 28 Part 1 crimes, 1127 with 24, 1126 with 21, 1137 with 15, and 1121 with 12. Let's take a look at those for a minute. (1132) probably was of most interest to me because if you take a look at that, it's not only the property crimes that are prevalent, but that probably is the area where we had some of the highest aggravated assault crimes, which are represented by the little red fists. If you take a look at those, you might, as we look at this area right here, obviously that's Antelope Valley High School, you might draw the assumption that somehow these are related, but if you look at the times of occurrence, the times of occurrence are in the evening and early morning hours of a lot of these ag assaults, so I'm kind of questioning as to whether or not there's any kind of direct or indirect relationship with the high school. And as we come down along Avenue J, you can see the multitude of activity down along there. The other area of interest to me was the intersection of Lancaster Boulevard and 5th Street East. That had, whoops. To reset it so the folks at home could join us. There's a high concentration of larceny, burglary, and underneath this larceny, you would also see aggravated assault in there as well. As we go to 1135, we can see that the primary activity that's in 1135 is larcenies and burglaries. So we're back to the property crimes again. The burglaries tend to concentrate over on the west side of 1135, while larcenies are spread pretty much throughout. And it does have a few of the ag assaults, but not the volume that 1132 did. So we move to 1127. That's our area from 20th Street West over to about 60th Street, from I down to Avenue K. The majority of the activity is concentrated along Valley Central Way, as we can see, and then there is some area, just a couple of isolated incidents or areas over in the 1 mile square blocks just a little bit to the west of there. (1126) is an area that is from J down to M, 10th West to 20th West, and the interesting thing about it is we expect the activity over around 10th West and Avenue K because of the high volume of commercial businesses in that location. But as we've talked about in the last few months, this apartment or these apartments that are over along this strip just west of the Interstate 14 between K and L are still surfacing with a high volume of property and violent crime, and we're seeing it push this reporting district up higher as we look at it from month to month. (1137), because of the movement in those other, or some of the other reporting districts, was pushed down just a little bit. 1137, the primary crimes involved there are larceny, burglary, and auto theft. As you look at it being laid around, the little automobiles on there represent the auto theft. The little broken windows represent burglaries, and the little green masks represent larcenies. And course 1121, again, with 1121, the primary crimes there are burglaries and larcenies. Within the scope of this, we still have the three primary reporting districts of concern that we've highlighted probably for the last year and a half, and that is 1121, 1135, and 1137. One of the other things that was interesting, in the data as I was looking at it, especially as we begin to see more activity up in the Antelope Valley with regard to construction, we're going to have a lot more construction folks running around with tools in the back of their truck. And it's important for us to let those folks know that they do need to secure their tools in the back of their truck. The little black pyramids there represent, over the course of the last couple of months, where people lost tools out of the back of their trucks in these auto larcenies, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But it's just interesting to note that we have they're primarily clustered in this corridor that's not that far from the 14 on both sides. So, and certainly the corridor between Sierra Highway and 14, from about probably Lancaster Boulevard down to K8. So these are some things. Some of the areas that are particularly vulnerable are the hotel parking lots or motel parking lots where the people come in and stay overnight and they've got their tools out in their truck, or in some of the public parking lots. And we even had one, I think, in an apartment parking lot. So we need to make sure that these folks are alerted that you know, they do need to secure their tools so that they don't become victims. As we take a look at the the reporting districts that had the most frequent residence burglaries, and of course residence burglary is something that we're always aware of. We're seeing 1127 on 1132 at the top spot, and that was 6. 1121 with 5 in the second place. 1192 with 4, and 1192 is over on the west side, just a little bit south of K. And then we have the clustering of several reporting districts that only had a couple of residential burglaries reported. Larcenies involving vehicles, 1135 led that one with 6, 1127 and 32 tied with 3, and then 1126 and 1192 tied with 2. As we take a look at some of the activities involving larcenies involving vehicles, and we drill down into some of the numbers, we can see that the most common vehicle broken into during this measurement period was a Honda, which led the way with 6, followed by Fords, and then it gets down to almost the single digits of the other vehicles. Again, we're back talking at the table again about reinforcing the need for people to lock their cars. You can see up here we have the unknown and unknown. And what an unknown again is, to refresh your memory, the folks didn't remember if they locked their car, but the deputy didn't see any signs of forced entry to the vehicle. And then we drop down and see the unlocked door. That accounts for 10 of the 23 larcenies from vehicles. So again, these are things that probably we can help educate the public and reduce our numbers at the same time. The most popular property taken during this particular event was the radio and stereos and small electronics. Those were the items that were most frequently stolen. The areas most commonly attacked during, or the locations most commonly attacked during this measurement period, public parking lots and apartment parking lots tied at 6 each, followed by a residential street. The good news is the residential driveway moved down a little bit in this reporting period, and we only had 3 in residential driveways as opposed to other locations. The next thing that I would like to show the Commission is our 52-week chart and essentially we are trending very well in most of our, or virtually all of our crimes. Homicide, we see our frequency up here at about 1, and we should be at 0.2, but again, it's very important for us to understand that this is a very low frequency crime, and the numbers get a little skewed because of the low frequency. As we move in and take a look at the second most serious Part 1 crime, which is rape, we can see that that's trending down, and we are trending down. We're almost at an intersection point with our baseline, which is the blue line. The green line is the trend line, and then the red line shows the actual frequency. This is robbery. We can see while we did have a spike a few weeks ago, the overall trend for 52 weeks as we look back is still progressing downward nicely. Assault is much the same way. And the good news about assault is that our baseline is way up here at the top, and where the blue is just slightly above 16. And you can see the trend line is not only going down, but it's also well below the baseline. It's trending between 9 and 8 right now. Burglary is going basically flat. It's trending right now well below the baseline. It's trending at about 18 or 19 per week, and the baseline is about just slightly over 24 per week. So even though we're flat, we're still in good shape as far as that's concerned. Larceny, we see a downward trend also for the 52 weeks. Our baseline is up just slightly over 40 at 41.13, but we can see our trend right now has us down at almost 30. And our grand theft auto, again, our baseline is up at about between 13 and 14, and we're trending down to around right now at about 7 per week. So things are going well in that area as well. And arson was the only crime that we were trending up in, and essentially that has basically the same issue that homicide has. It's a very low frequency crime for us, so the numbers look a little distorted there, but our baseline is just slightly over 1, and we're trending at about 1.5, so it's essentially very reasonable. As we take a look at the maps that you were distributed, the first map is the one that has the crime classifications on the right in the legend, and that is our frequency by reporting district. Again, that illustrates individual Part 1 crime events with the rest that could be offenses that could be geocoded. And then it also has heat density by color coding of Part 1 crime events. You can see the heat density legend in the lower left of the map. Map number 2 is your spatial trend analysis map. And what that has is the pinkish areas show where we increased spatially in the city with Part 1 crimes since the last reporting period, and where we actually went down, and those are illustrated in the green. The third map is our forecast, and that is what we anticipate right now by reporting district as to where the various reporting districts will lie based upon the estimated Part 1 crimes.
Jim, just one quick question. When you look at December, does that sometimes end up being an anomaly in light of the holiday season and all, or is this prediction or predicting analysis, does that continue on, or what do you think?
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, with regards to next month, well, to this month, I guess I would say, a lot of times in light of the holidays, we have increased burglary, those types of things. Do you think that this month will be some type of anomaly? That will continue, or do you think that will continue with the trend of decreasing lower than the baseline in these various categories?
Well,
it's hard to predict.
The estimates based upon a time series of Part 1 crimes that goes back to January 1st of 2000. So we've got almost 11 years worth of data now that we're looking at. And so what this does is this takes a look at the various seasons, it looks at seasonal effect and everything else. And essentially what this is something that operationally we should be looking at and saying, these are the reporting districts where we are experiencing, or where we anticipate there will be the most crime. And so basically that's the purpose of doing the forecast.
So the variables are considered?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then finally, the last presentation that I have goes back to the initiative that we recently started within public safety, which is the Antelope Valley Community Youth Court. And within the scope of that, this is the number of cases that we have received since the inception. And what we'll do is we will continue this through the December 31st, and at that point we'll summarize the cases that we received to that point, and then we'll start over again in January. But to this point, we can see that we have had a total of 92 as of a couple days ago. We had 92 referrals from the Sheriff's Department. 20 of those cases or referrals are pending right now. The good news for us is we've been, or Tammy Dietrich has been doing a lot of this herself, and our second intern was just cleared everything, so he's going to be coming on board with us, so she'll get a little help. You can imagine 92 cases is a little daunting for anybody to handle. Cases that are in process are 6 right now. We have 18 that have been through the court process, and they are on some type of court supervision at this point. Cases that we have sent back because either we didn't get a return call from the parent, or the case was not, or somebody found some reason for the case not to be in this particular court. In other words, it might not have been a first offense in reality or something like that. We have had 26 of those cases. And then that also ties into the non-suitable. We had we had 6 that opted out, and 2 where staff determined that it was not appropriate, and then 10 others for a total of 18 that weren't suitable. The cases that were sent back because they did not properly complete supervision were 3. And at this point, we have 1 case that has completely completed all supervision, and they've been released. And at this point, I'd open it up to questions.
Jim, I had one question, and I guess it's a comment too. Last month, we talked about some of the vehicle burglaries in and around the AV High School area, and one of my questions was, did either you or I think Lieutenant Doughton commented on the subject too. I asked whether or not we thought that had something to do primarily with the high density of units around that area, or whether it had to do with primarily with high school students, maybe, since we've learned that there's a fair number of burglaries committed by high school students not in school. And it sounded like we were unsure. This month I looked at this. When we look at, if I look at the spatial trend analysis, you see the red in 1132 all around the high school area again. And I think you also commented there was some aggravated assault issues near Lancaster Boulevard and 5th Street, which is still relatively close. One of the things I know about that area, because I attended high school there and didn't grow up that far from that area, is there is a lot of multifamily units in that area. So even though the timing of these events, whether it's early in the morning or late at night, and it's typically not when the school's happening or the people are coming or going from school, I wonder about the impact of those multifamily units in there. I know that probably three of the corners of 5th Street East and Lancaster Boulevard are primarily older multifamily units. You've got a fair number of people stacked in and on top and all around each other there. And it makes me think of that also when I look at, I guess the other reporting area we discussed was 1126 between 10th and 20th and K on down to M. When I look at, while it's designated in red there, I also noticed from L to M on the Part 1 crimes, there's nothing in that, and that's almost all 2.5 or acre and a quarter parcels, so I know you don't have the kind of density that you do in some of these other areas where I see all of the icons, the broken windows and the other stuff that we hope to eliminate.
Well, one of the things that we know is that as density increases, so does criminal activity. I mean, that just goes to or that's just logical. The other issue, though, is the continued licensing and regulation of those who would rent property to another, and those are issues that our public safety department or office has discussed a lot. We run training for the landlords, and we do our best to try to get landlords to get involved. We've even formed a committee that looks at nuisance properties and looks at repeat calls to specific addresses within the city. So there are a lot of things going on, but I would agree with your assessment that those particular locations continue to be problematic for us.
I think that was one of the reasons that the land cap program came about, is that the Sheriff's Department of the city did a study and determined that over 60% of all crime occurs in rental property, and with the density in that being created in multifamily. So that's the emphasis, and that's something Lieutenant Doughton talked about last week, is re-emphasizing back into the roots of the land cap program to identify those issues in multifamily housing. And as Jim brought up, we're stepping up our program with our landlord training program, our land cap qualifications, along with working with those companies. We have some rather large companies that own property in the area with some of the larger apartment complexes, and we're dealing with some issues with them as it relates to tenant issues and their participation in business licensing and everything here within the city and compliance. And then also a refocus on land cap and the signage on the buildings and the zero tolerance issues that's related to that program. So that is part of the things that are discussions going on for our goals for the new year, and so we'll update you monthly on that progress.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Arrest statistics, Sergeant Kroger or Lieutenant Doughton. There you go.
While Jim hooks this thing up for me real quick, let's go through a couple things that I wanted to just, touch on what Jim was talking about. As far as where we are with the baseline of crime, we've been getting a weekly report now from our Downtown Crime Analysis Center, and what they did is they looked where our goal is. Our goal is to be under 300 by the end of the year, and they've been sending us a report with some thresholds. And this last week's report was amazing because we are meeting or way below that threshold that we need to maintain to meet that goal. So, I mean, the vehicle thefts, we did have a spike last week. We were up a little. We had like 23, but we've solved it. We had 4 people in custody, and we know that they were responsible for a lot, so we're in good shape on that. The petty thefts and the general larceny in the community is on a downturn. And when we go to the arrest statistics, you'll see how we've taken our focus, and we knew that we needed to do something with the larceny thefts. And you're going to see a real increase in that larceny thefts. It did affect the bottom line on arrests and what have you, and we did see a reduction in the actual total number of arrests, but that larceny number went way up, and that was our target, and that's what we need to do to meet that goal. Is we need to be target specific right now. The robberies were down. I mean, it was just, you look at these numbers, it was just amazing. Our Berg team just continues they amaze me every time. You look at where we are with burglaries, residential burglaries and commercial burglaries. I mean, I'm just so impressed. I was just talking to Mr. Bozigan just a second ago. I mean, that burglary team just is always stellar and right on top. Yesterday they came in, they did a operation at one of our local pawn shops. They actually got information through them that somebody had been in there and they were selling brand-new Blu-ray DVDs. And through their investigation, they took 2 people to jail. They've been responsible over the last 10 days of over 300 Blu-ray thefts from our establishments. So that takes them out of the mix. And, Chairman Vieira, that's what we're talking about, okay? Christmas season, it does, okay? We need our community to stay vigilant. Be careful when you go in and shop. Don't go in and grab, a bunch of gifts, put them in the back of the car, go back in, shop. That's a real easy target. So we need to stay vigilant through the holidays. So we want to make sure that we don't, that especially the larceny can go out of control on us if we're not vigilant. The community needs to stay on top of it, and law enforcement needs to stay on top of it, and that's going to be our focus. Through the end of the year, we've got special operations going on throughout the end of the year, and that's going to be where we need to go. There was one more thing before we go to this I wanted to cover. Last month we were going to talk about gang crime. We're going to have a presentation next month, and it's going to be pretty much the state of gang enforcement within the Antelope Valley and some specifics on Lancaster, and give us a year-end update on where we are. So that will come in January. The arrest review breakdown, just do it real quick. Not going to work. So the logged arrest, you can look. You can see that, the blue area is current. The purple is the last couple weeks. But the larceny, look at the huge increase in larceny arrests. Now, like I said, we saw a decrease in all the other areas, but that's because we had the target enforcement. We specifically went after the thieves. And the part 2, here again with the operations that we had, we went out after the guys with the warrants. So we had a lot of warrant arrests. They were a little bit down, but we had a lot of warrant arrests. We had some misdemeanor arrests that were actually higher there. So this is exactly what we expected when we moved our target towards the petty thieves. And then the comparison with the other stations, we fell off on that. But like I said, I think that Axel and I discussed it, Lee and I discussed it. We knew by moving our complete focus to this is our goal is going to be met, but we had to, lose some ground in some areas, but we definitely made up ground in others. And then if you look, the 2 charts, the top one is the part 1 and the other one's the part 2. We're right on schedule where we have been. We're looking good, and we'll finish out the year with more arrests in both categories. And that's it. Any questions? Sergeant Kreger thanks you.
If I could just make a quick comment. One of the other things we've been doing over at the station, I think now for the last 3 years, has been emphasizing patrol arrests in the area of narcotics, making observation arrests as to arrests that stem just from calls for service. And, we have an old saying in police work, and I think Lee knows this, and certainly Don does, and my cohorts in the CHP is, if you're taking a doper to jail, you're taking a thief to jail, okay? Those 2 things go hand in hand. And so I think you saw the longer bar there. That bar in terms of narcotics arrests has been going up and up and up. And we've been emphasizing with all of our patrol crews that that's a very, very important part of their job, is to make those observation arrests. Get familiar, make sure that you're trained properly to recognize the symptoms of various narcotics usage, and certainly know your search and seizure, know your laws of arrest, so that you can do what we call rollback on these guys and find their dope too. So that's something that our patrol crews have really, I think, increased their expertise in, and it's going to show, I think, dividends for us as far as our Part 1 crime rate is concerned. In fact, it already has.
Okay, from the California Highway Patrol update, Captain Hoos.
The overall fatalities in the Antelope Valley are still down. We had one or two in early December, but we are still down about 50% from last year and 50% from our 3-year average. Collisions are still down slightly. DUI-related collisions are down significantly, still at around 50%. We've had some extended deployment on the weekends from some grant deployments, so you may have seen a few officers out there over the weekends. If you're out on late evenings, we're normally starting around 8 or 9 p.m. and looking for the intoxicated driver. The increased enforcement on the 14 as a result of our corridor grant is going to be starting significantly around December 17th. You're going to see them also a little bit on our big inbound days, Sunday after Christmas, Sunday after New Year's. Those are days where they're going to be looking for an intoxicated driver, but we're also using them as a resource to get everyone back into town after their holiday weekend. Commissioner Gopal, you had talked about possibly working with us on a DUI checkpoint and looking into a joint program with parole or probation searches, and there is no conflict. And so we will contact you and let you know when we'll be doing it, and see if you have some resources with us.
All right, thank you.
And beyond that, things are going well. We're working through the holidays and looking forward to a La Nina next year, which will keep our collisions down again.
Questions, comments?
Just have one question, a point of interest for me. What is the difference, if anything, in the all-white cruiser that I see, Highway Patrol?
Harder to find, isn't it?
Yeah, the one that's difficult to notice until
And
he's
fast.
right next to me or
They
behind me.
really like that car.
Yes.
Years ago, it was the primary focus. 70% of that was to focus. We called it a SMPV, a specially marked patrol vehicle. By law, California only requires having white doors on their patrol cars. And in fact, a number of them, if they're specialized, can be any color. And for years ago, we had a few different cars, different makes and models and colors, which you still see, I think, in a number of different states. Texas comes to mind right off the top. The white cars have shifted from 70% commercial enforcement, working just the trucks, and they used to call them polar bears instead of Smokey the Bear, and so we were the polar bears for quite a while. We've shifted those in the last 2 years to what's called primary enforcement vehicles, which is those vehicles are deployed and looking for the primary collision factor violations, changing lanes, following too close, speeding. Those items or those actions that are primary for collisions cause the majority of our collisions in California. So I was going to say you'll see them, but hopefully you won't see them. But you'll see them making stops, and the majority of those stops are not for the common violations, the working in the city. They're primarily to stop collisions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I actually saw something on the local news the other day about you stepping up efforts going after distracted drivers.
Yes.
And actually learned something I had not known in the past, that you can get a ticket for eating in your car.
Well, distracted driving, we always think of texting or phone calls or, using your phone, which of course no one drives in the Lancaster area with a phone up to their ear.
Ever.
And it's frustrating probably for everyone, because you're watching all these violations and thinking, where's a cop? Well, their actions are a little more strict when we're in the neighborhood, so it's a little more difficult for us to catch them, but we do. Distracted driving, though, is reading the newspaper, eating, combing your hair, shaving. You've seen all these things on your commutes. But distracted driving is one of those that while you'll issue the citation, normally you'll need something to show that they were distracted, a significantly delayed response into slowing traffic ahead of them or doing a poor job staying in their lane when they're making a curve in the roadway. It's something that the courts are relatively lenient on, and we don't issue a lot of citations for things as blatant as texting or calling. And, of course, the young people, those a little younger than us, they don't need to hold their phone up this high to text. You know, you can't even see their telephone. They're probably from training in school, but the citations we issued, around 152 over those last 2 days that we did in October for texting and driving, which are good violations. Another thing that's coming out that we're dealing with, and I'll try to make this brief, but some of the new technologies in cars which allow cars to stay in the lane. I mean, Volvo's got it, Saab, Mercedes is a groundbreaker on it. The technology that keeps them in the lane is causing a little bit of a challenge with motorcycles that are legally splitting because it actually moves the car over by itself. Another problem with that is that we dealt with this on our motorcycles. When we got anti-lock brakes, we went from the Harleys to Kawasaki's and the BMW. The anti-lock brakes, which made our vehicles, our motorcycles stop significantly faster, increased the aggression of our officers, and they were actually crashing more because the technology was keeping them safer. And one of the concerns we're seeing, and we're starting to see significantly, is these vehicles that will brake for you, they'll speed up for you, they'll keep you in your lane. We're seeing a few more commuters that are actively involved in reading the entire newspaper instead of just the headlines. It's something you're going to see. People increase their confidence in driving, and it tends to decrease safety. So distracted driving is going to be something you'll see for a number of years.
Thank you.
Long answer, sorry. Government.
That's okay.
No, very interesting and very informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Report on Neighborhood Impact Program. Commissioner Harris.
Thank you. This has been a year of expansion for Neighborhood Impact. So we've gone from the Paiute area over to and Trend last year. We've expanded now into Desert View and Mariposa. Both of those are up and running. They're doing very well. And now the Linda Verde area, Henry Hearns Church has taken on that area. So we're very excited because of the expansion, because of the things that we see happening in the neighborhoods. For Thanksgiving, Grace Resource gave us 400 Thanksgiving baskets, and so those were handed out in the neighborhoods, and the people really appreciated them. So that was a really neat thing to be able to do for them. In Trend specifically, the after-school program, the homework help is really expanding. So we're really seeing a need for being consistent and offering it more than just one day a week because the kids are coming. They need all kinds of help, not only with their homework, because as you're helping them with their homework, you realize that they can't read. So you're trying to help them with those areas, and we're having them read to us, or we read to them. And so that's something that we're really excited about, being able to work with the kids and make a difference for them. And actually, Nancy Corey School said that it is making a difference. They're noticing that the kids are coming and they've got their homework done and they're getting a little bit better and a little bit faster at what they're doing. And so we're expanding this next week to high school tutoring. We've been concentrating on the elementary and junior high, and we're going to expand to now high school tutoring. So we're very excited about that. And I think that the next item that we have on our agenda for next year is the Martin Luther King Workday. So we'll be cleaning out the Mariposa area. We've been asked by the city to do that, and the Parkview area, and we'll probably be doing a few in-house projects in Sunnydale. We've noticed that when we try to paint in January, sometimes it works out well and sometimes it doesn't because of the weather. So I think that that's it. Are there any questions?
Well, thank you, and we sure appreciate you expanding to the high school as well, so thank you for the work you do. And I'm going to go ahead and combine the next two with the same presenter, so our Business Watch Subcommittee update and Public Safety update. Mr. Draco, if you can just delve into those.
Okay, on the Business Watch Subcommittee, we've pushed that over to start over in the new year. I have some locations that I will discuss with you, sir, regarding where we go next. I have an idea where I want to go, but I'll just, we can do that systematically. And like that, I'd like to try and go like every 2 weeks if it's possible, so we can get some of these larger retail places dealt with and introduce ourselves and look at what we've got going there. Our community partners from Walmart are here again for another one of our meetings. They've really stepped up this year on the Christmas Patrol and putting some resources into issues there. I think it's showing on our decrease in larcenies, especially as it relates to their east side stores. So that community partnership is open and moving forward. On public safety update, I've got Marlene and Megan in here. Marlene and Megan have been adding neighborhood watch neighborhoods and participation probably to the tune of about 3 meetings a week throughout the city. And this has been about a 6-week run they've been on. And what we're doing now is updating our neighborhood watch calendar for the rest of this month and January, and we'll move forward with that. And we've updated everyone's email, so you'll be receiving those calendars in your email, okay, and what neighborhoods we're going to be in. And again, invite you to any of those meetings that you would like to attend. Also, after the first of the year, we're going to be setting up our area meetings. Again, we've divided the city through how we manage this program now into 4 areas that align with the Sheriff's Department's core areas. And in each one of those areas, we're going to have an area meeting that includes all the neighborhood watch groups, the zone captains, all those areas, and probably we're going to do them hopefully at the high schools, because we're going to have a large attendance there. I would invite the commissioners to please attend those meetings. I will forward you the dates that we will set forward those, working those out with the schools. And we're going to do some advertising related to that and get folks in there. So that's moving very well that way. It's just, again, to redefine that whole communication process. The girls are working their tails off, adjusting their schedules, and we want to be able to relate to those communities and what their needs are in each one of those areas. And then hopefully that will create another level of participation out there and create some interest and motivation for folks to get in the program. And in that, we're going to talk about all the things that we can discuss in Neighborhood Watch. So it's a presentation. And that includes CERT, that includes, fortifying your target, fortifying your home, the diligence, how to relate to the Sheriff's Department, when it's appropriate to call 911 and when it's not. Just basic things that are all involved with our community-based model and involving the community in public safety. So that's coming out. So we're really looking forward. We're really proud of the things that we were able to accomplish this year with our youth community court, redefining Neighborhood Watch, our relationship with the different agencies in the area, and the reduction in crime. And I think one of the things that keep my fingers crossed for the end of the year. I think it's going to be pretty impressive where we were 3 years ago versus where we are now comparatively. And I think when we talk about crime stats, that's what we really need to focus on. Okay, so we do get caught up to a certain degree on where those numbers are, but it's a significant change from where we were 3 years ago to now. As far as Don touched on and the captain on some of the operational things, those guys have been working their tails off. They are keeping the Antelope Valley Crime Fighting Initiative teams up here. There's been probably two operations minimum a week. That's going to carry on through the end of the year. There's really a huge presence out there right now, and we're definitely seeing the benefits of that. So that's been a great cooperative effort between everybody. So that's kind of where we're at. We'll just maintain that through the end of the year, and I think we're all going to be very happy where we end up.
Well, there's a lot going on there. Any questions, comments from commissioners?
Well, I wanted to make a comment. You said that Walmart is here. Twice this week I've had people tell me that how they've seen the security at Walmart in action. So I can tell you that people are noticing and they're feeling really comfortable with it. They just said, my goodness, from everywhere, people were coming and taking care of the situation. So good job.
And thank you for being here. Public business from the floor, non-agendized items, I have nothing. Okay. Commissioner comments? Any comments? No?
After we leave here today, can we, the people that are going to meet on this issue of the
Ordinance? The ordinance, is that?
Yes. Can I just get a couple of phone numbers so we can get?
Sure. Absolutely. Okay, with no comments, I guess I have one comment. Just we won't be meeting again until the 12th of January, so I just, on behalf of the commission, wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy and safe holidays. And this meeting stands adjourned at about 11:10 a.m. Thank you.